Well then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This is a really special day for me. I have met somebody who some of you may not have heard of, but I have, and some of you will have done. I am here with Barry the Fish Melton from Country Joe and the Fish. Now, anybody of a certain age will remember them. You were pushing the boundaries at the time, weren't you, with what you were doing? What was it like? How did you come to form the band?
Well, we didn't start as a band. We started as a duo.
Yes.
Joe and I. We went to our friend Chris Strackwitz's living room, and Chris was the guiding light for a record company called Arhoolie Records, which did traditional American music. And he was the first person, I believe, to bring the modern versions of Mance Lipscomb, Mississippi John Hurt, and people like that. And anyway, we went to his living room, recorded 2 songs, one with a jug band and one with just Joe and I. On the other side of this little EP record, EP is an extended play record that's 33 and a third.
We have one here for those who've not seen them before. This is an
RPM.
EP, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not the first, that's
not the first, but for size, it's a guide.
Anyway, on the other side was a fellow named Peter Krug, who was a songwriter from Berkeley. And we recorded in Chris's living room. And we were looking for a name. We thought we ought to give it a name.
Always a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you know. Anyway, we thought because we had done 2 anti-war songs, basically.
Yeah.
One was I Feel Like I'm Fixing to Die Rag, which was 1, 2, 3, What Are We Fighting For? And the other was a song called Superbird, which was about Lyndon Johnson. And we thought, well, we have to give this a name and people are going to think we're communists. So we'll give them what they're thinking that we are. And we called it Country Joe after Joseph Stalin, which was one of his nicknames.
Yes, it was.
And the Fish, which was a quote from Chairman Mao's Little Red Book.
I didn't know
Which was, the revolutionary moves through the peasantry as the fish does through water. And so there, hence the name Country Joe and the Fish. And our first airplay ever was on Radio Moscow.
No way.
Incidentally, because Russian radio was interested in showing that Americans didn't really like the war in Vietnam. So they used us as examples of American dissent. So there we are, Country Joe and the Fish.
So did you become the Fish because you were in the band, or was that already your nickname?
No, it was Joe and I were the 2 people on the recording, period. And then, of course, we expanded. We got a guy named Richard Saunders to play bass with us for a while. And then after Richard came my friend Bruce Barthol played bass, and we got John Francis Gunning was our drummer, and David Cohen played on that, that's the record that you have. That's the band, that small record.
Oh, the EP.
Yeah.
I was given these just before the interview.
And that's from left to right, my friend Paul Armstrong. Our first drummer is John Francis Gunning. And then comes Bruce Barthol, Joe McDonald, David Cohen, and me.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I did like, you wore it on one of these. I saw it there. I've got to say, I love your jacket. It's pretty nice. It's not the
jacket. Let me explain what happened there.
Go on.
Okay. That was a Nazi uniform.
Was it?
Yep.
No way.
And it went to the art department at Vanguard Records.
Yeah.
Vanguard Records was owned by 2 brothers, Maynard and Seymour Solomon, who were both Jewish.
Yeah.
And their father, and his name is lost to me, but their father was in the art department. He sort of ran the art department. He saw the swastika on my sleeve and said, no, he can't do that. So he blotted out the swastika with an American flag. Ditto with Chicken's outfit, which is a kind of religious guy with a beanie on.
Yeah.
It wasn't a beanie to begin with. It was like a papal hat, a pope's hat. And he didn't like that either because, you know, he didn't like Catholics. So anyway, he fixed that by putting a beanie on Chicken and an American flag on me.
It's a good, and I love this, the little windmill on the head.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So this isn't your first album, is it?
Well, it's our second album.
Second album, that's what I thought. Now the first album. So when did this come out?
It came out right about the time of the Monterey Pop Festival,
Which you
was
played at?
May of 1967, I believe. April or May, late April, early May, somewhere in there.
Electric Music for the Mind and Body. They were great album titles in those days, weren't they?
I don't know. Was that a great album title?
One of my favourite bands from a little bit later in the 70s was Budgie. Welsh band. And the title was like was it in the grip of a tyre fitter's hand? It's just a wonderful title. They don't do that sort of stuff anymore.
Come on.
So these I see this sort of Flying High on here, and these other songs. I mean, did you have this body of work fairly quickly? I mean, because it sounded like you and Joe were quite productive when you got together.
That's our first effort. I often tell people that's not a professional band. No. That's indigenous music from Berkeley, California, circa 1966, 1967. We were very definitely not professionals at the time. And it sounds amateur, but, you know, what can I say?
But you were part of that counterculture revolution movement, and that was pushing boundaries, and that was a first, wasn't it, really? What was it like living in those times and that sort of heady period of the late 60s? I mean, we think of it over here as flower power and...
Notice he said heady period. Yes, we were heads.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was a heady period. But I don't think... I mean, we may have been somewhat in the first wave of modern psychedelic music, but I don't think we were the first, and I don't think that we were all that unique, but I suppose we were in some respects.
Yeah. I mean, just by virtue of the fact not many people had done it, if anybody had done it before you, so that kind of made you fairly unique, because everything was new then. I mean, we didn't have any of them bands that many people might hear of today.
No, but we viewed ourselves as part of a longer legacy that dates back to the 30s, really, and the counterculture of the 30s, the trade union movement, the Pete Seeger, the Weavers. You know, we knew we were not the first by any means.
No. Maybe the first to mix that sort of psychedelic music and the sort of leftist views on the world. That was a first, wasn't it?
Well, I don't think there's such a thing as psychedelic music, but that's
okay. Not?
No.
Oh, let's have a debate.
There's LSD that certainly existed, and I'm not denying that. But really, we were doing sort of a progressive folk music. We were folk musicians. We started as folk musicians, and the fact that we had drugs involved didn't have a lot to do with the music, I believe. No. It was moving. It was transitioning into a sort of folk music was very definitive. You had to have certain aspects to be a folk musician, but the folk music that we were playing incorporated elements of jazz in that it was improvisational as well as folk music, which was that part was unique. But I don't think that had anything to do with the drugs we were using. It had to do with
coincidental.
Yeah, exactly.
So going on into the 70s, that, I mean, you were busy throughout the 70s. What was that like?
Well, gee, Joe and I played, I want to say we were active until about 1972. And then we sort of knocked that off. I signed with Columbia Records in the early 70s. And they wanted to make me into a commercial success, and I didn't really fit well into their
remit.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a misfit. But we tried. I tried. I had a different band. The latest, or the later version of Country Joe and the Fish had entirely different personnel than you see on this. We had a guy named Doug Metzler on bass, Gregory Dewey on drums, and Mark Kapner on keyboards. But Joe and I were the consistent elements.
That happened a lot in the 70s. I mean, many bands that I used to follow, Jethro Tull, for example, they had what you would call the classic lineup around about the time of the live album. But I mean, prior to that, they had a completely different lineup, and the only real continuous person was Ian Anderson, and that happened a lot in bands. Now the bands just all disintegrate and go away, don't they? It's not the same.
Well, I don't know. There are bands that have stayed together, certainly, even in modern times. But anyway, we dissolved our band. We played with a different lineup for Woodstock, which was the lineup that I just mentioned. And then we sort of struck out on our own. I just had a friend, a very dear friend, come to the West Coast from Maryland. His name is Bobby Fleury, wonderful guitar player who played in my band. We were on the road together for years. And we had different people in the band. My friend Peter Walsh played bass with us for a while. One of the funniest, warmest people I've ever worked with. And we had different drummers.
Did they explode at the end of each session?
No.
No, that's a myth.
Yeah. But I mean, and we, in the 70s, I didn't have any way of making a living other than going on the road. So I went on the road. And, it had its own rewards. It was difficult in some respects. I wasn't making the kind of money that I was making playing with Country Joe and the Fish. But I was doing okay. I mean, wasn't amassing a fortune, but I felt very fortunate. Yeah?
Yeah, getting by.
And then in 1977, my oldest son was born. I had previously enrolled as a law student in California. So in 1977, after my son was born, I redoubled my efforts at studying law. And lo and behold, it took me 5 years, but I became a lawyer. And I'm a guy who had a total of 3 units of college.
Oh, really?
And the only reason why I had 3 units of college is because my sociology professor, who is a wonderful man, didn't want to fail me, so he gave me a D. But I only stayed in school for 10 weeks. So, that was
my things to do.
That was my college education. That's all I had. And it took me 5 years of studying independently to become a lawyer. Took the bar exam twice. My first time I did fine on the multiple choice, but I failed the essay part because I thought they couldn't read my handwriting. They still can't. But I thought they couldn't read my handwriting, so I printed my answers, which took me twice as long as anyone else who was taking the test, and my answers were deemed to be too short. So I had to take it again, which I did, and that time I passed because I wrote in longhand, even though it was terribly illegible, and I don't know why they passed me at all.
But they did. And so how long were you in law for? Quite a few years.
Well, I'm still a lawyer, so yeah. So I became a member of the bar in 1982, and of course that's at this point 43 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That means you're quite experienced in what you do.
Well, I don't know if experience has a lot to do with it. I was a criminal defense lawyer,
Okay.
and ultimately a public defender, and I loved the work. I had lots of friends, both on the bench, from prosecutors, defense attorneys, police officers, and defense experts, because they all looked at me as a musician rather than as a lawyer, and they all liked the music. So I got away with murder, I suppose. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. I got away with nearly
You got
murder.
other people away with murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you mean you still actively playing music while you were lawyering?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was, but not as much, obviously, and I only went on the road maybe 2-3 weeks a year.
And that was for enjoyment rather than because you needed to go on the road?
No, I did it for money, but
You did it for money.
I don't want to give you the wrong impression, but I'm not that generous. But yeah, I went on the road, and you know, as I say, my first 5 years, I'd say, of law practice. In the first year, I was making probably 80 or 90% of my money from music, because I was a musician. And then the second year, it maybe dwindled down to like 70, 80%.
But like a seesaw, one
yeah,
up, one
and
down.
then the third year, it was maybe, you know, 60% music, 40% law. And by the time 5 years had passed, I was able to make more money practicing law than I was playing music. And but I got to be at home with my kids, which was important to me. My wife passed away 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, and we were married for 48 years, and she was just the love of my life, still is. So
It doesn't go away, does it?
no, it doesn't.
It doesn't go away. Absolutely not. Well, so that brings us kind of to now. So you're still touring, you're still gadding around the world, as we would say, and are you enjoying it still?
Yeah, I do enjoy it. It's a relief to me. I don't do a whole lot of law. I do it for my friends. And I do law that probably has nothing to do with me, and I'm totally unqualified for. But it's, you know, I'm doing probate and, you know, business law, I guess, sort of, you know, what can I say?
You've just come back from the Isle of Wight.
No, we're going to the Isle of Wight.
I've just come back from
But
the Isle
I've
of
been
Wight.
to the Isle of Wight, I think 3 times at this point in time.
I love it.
Yeah, it's 5 times? No.
Yep.
Okay, John knows.
The road manager has just stepped in, ladies and gentlemen, and said it's 5.
Yeah, and that's John Roberts, who's sitting stage right to me. And as is my friend Stefan Misri, who plays guitar with me. He's from he's from outside Paris. He's from Saint-Nom-le-Bretèche. And Dr. Love is here. And Deborah is here, his lovely wife.
And I'd like to say thank you for Debbie and Dr. Love for their use of their wonderful garden today. We were going to go in the pub next door, but I went in and it was a little bit noisy, kids running around and things.
Imagine that, noise in a pub.
Gosh.
Oh, disgusting.
So I knocked on the door and said, hey, can we come into your garden? And here we are in a beautiful garden. Beautiful garden. It's lovely out here.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to spend time talking with you. I know my friend Jeff, who I do my YouTube channel with, will be watching this because he's a fellow Californian, born in Chico.
Chico.
Yeah.
Chico's a little out of it.
It is a little out of
I'm
it.
not going to pick on Chico.
No. Chico's a good place. Chico's a good place. So, in your career, which spans all these years, what's
60 now.
What's your highlight? What was the one thing you could say that was the highlight of everything? That was the best.
Well, it may have been when it happened in my career, but Monterey Pop was a wonderful experience for me because we were there with real stars. We were there with Simon and Garfunkel, Otis Redding.
Mamas and Papas there at that one, were they?
They were. Mamas and Papas
Yeah,
were there.
I love them.
The Who, Jimi
Who,
Hendrix.
yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a phenomenal lineup of talent. Oh, the Electric Flag.
Yes.
So for me, Monterey Pop was the festival, but there were maybe 25,000 people there, maybe, not many more.
But yeah,
But-
atmosphere.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
As a guitarist, what is your favourite guitar?
Oh, a Gibson J200.
Oh, good choice. They're beautiful. Do you play one?
No, actually, I have a Gibson Blues King.
Yeah.
That's at home, and I don't play it very often. I have a little Martin. It's a 3/4 size Martin that I take on the road with
Travel
me.
guitar, yeah.
Yeah,
They're good.
and my electric guitar is an SG, a Gibson SG.
Sustain on those is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, mine is great,
Intonation superb. I mean, yeah, beautiful guitars.
and 26 frets,
Oh, of course.
which means
Yeah.
that you know
That's over
you
2
can
octaves.
you can reach everything
Absolutely.
on that.
Up to 11.
Well, listen, Barry, it has been wonderful talking to you, and everybody out there knows who you are now, maybe.
Maybe.
And if you want, these are some of the albums you should be looking for. These are all signed and all very rare, and I'm handling them with great care. The Electric Music for Mind and Body has never gone out of print.
John Peel's favourite album.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? John Peel's favourite album. So get yourself a copy, have a listen, see what they're all about. I have, it's rather good.
Bye.
Bye. The Heart of the Tribe Gallery is a community art gallery situated near the top of Glastonbury High Street. They host amazing exhibitions supporting local artists, and they have a beautiful secret garden out the back. So be sure to check them out and support local art.